One Punch Man, Chapter 126, Psycho. So this was a fun chapter. I mean, it's still kind of fillery, but not exactly like filler, full-blown, if that makes sense. We did get some developments in this chapter, more like nuanced info on the Monster Association and the inner workings of it, which is actually pretty damn interesting, and it goes deeper than what you thought, like way deeper, and I'll go into that because I got some interesting little tidbits to dig up here. But then it's more so just building the dynamic between Flashy Flash and Saitama, which does have long-lasting ramifications. Of course, I'm not spoiling anything there. And then we got the whole big reveal about Gyoro Gyoro, which is a big development, so let's get into it. Before we get into it, I just want to give a shout out to my coloring artist, Quiet Hist. If you've ever seen like one of my awesome thumbnails on my chapter reviews or just my videos in general, it's very likely that they were colored by Quiet Hist. She is an extremely talented artist who does both commissions, original work, and coloring as well, so please check out her Instagram. All right, so we're seeing that the Monster Association is in fact being crafted by the monsters. So that means that this entire place wasn't just an existing like relic or an existing base of the Subterraneans, or at least part of it was. We know that for sure because we saw the mural of the Subterranean King along with Elder Centipede. So that explained like where the Subterraneans came from and where Elder Centipede came from as well, because we also saw like all of the corpses of the Subterraneans underneath like where Hellfire and Gale were chilling in that like ravine. Now, as for these ant monsters and these other like digging monsters, I guess they kind of look like Starship Trooper, the bug monsters, with like a mix of the Muto monsters from the I think 2016 Godzilla movie. So I'm sure that's where Murata got his inspiration for these, but surprisingly have been in development for like 2 years now, at least 2 years, because at that time when Murata was still streaming, he talked about these guys. He said that the Monster Association, when we saw it, I think in like chapter 90 or 9, I think it was like 89 or 90, when Child Emperor is showing the entire S-Class, like the layout of the base, it kind of looks like an ant's nest or something like that. And then Murata said that there will be ant monsters anyway, so let's just assume they made the base. It's difficult to explain why the base is a tower shape. So that's pretty much it, because the architects are ants. So that's why it looks like it. But also, like, he said this 2 years ago, so that's super interesting to me that one has had this planned out for that long. Now, another little cool thing that's coming from this is that we're seeing how the Monster Association is making money, which was like a question that I proposed a little bit ago. Like, how are they paying for all this? And I thought it was just forced labor, but no, apparently they're like are harvesting gold and rubies. But then that brings up the other question of like, how are they selling the gold? Is like Psycho selling it herself because she's like the only human here, or is like Hellfire and Gale selling it? And if they are selling it, who are they selling it to? Is there bookkeeping on this? Are the monsters getting gold? Why do the monsters need gold? It's just so many questions that raise from this, while some questions are being answered at the same time. But besides that, we get an awesome little sequence with Flashy Flash and Saitama teaming up to take care of these digging Muto Starship Trooper bug monster things, and they look pretty cool. But of course, they're no match for Saitama, let alone Flashy Flash. And they're taken care of in spectacular fashion. Just, it's a bloodbath. And if you're wondering, like, how strong are these things? Well, you know, there's no real way to know for sure. They don't really have any feats, but considering like the aesthetic of them and their size, they're probably like low demons or something like that, just taking a guess. And then another little fun thing is that Saitama is acknowledging Flashy Flash, because he's like, hey, you're kind of fast, because he basically kept up with him neck and neck throughout that entire sequence where they take care of those monsters. So I guess this is like complete confirmation, in case you weren't aware by now, in case you didn't read chapter 95 and 96, Flashy Flash is extraordinarily fast for this verse. Like, even Saitama acknowledges that, like, yeah, you're pretty fast. And the last time that Saitama, like, really acknowledged somebody like this, I think was Boros, when he was like, yeah, you're pretty strong. So then we get the sequence where Saitama gets caught up by the monster's claw, like digging into his cape, and it pulls him back. And we actually see Flashy Flash like go to grab for Saitama, which is interesting. So that's certainly showing that their relationship is somewhat building. And then Saitama comes back with the bag of gold, which is hilarious because, Saitama loves money. They're some of the best Saitama faces that we've seen in a very long time, honestly, like when he drops the gold. But also we see that he's like giving up the gold just to save this monster. So that's further showing us that like Saitama is a good guy. He can be a little unruly sometimes and kind of hard to read, but overall, I mean, he will sacrifice gold just for the life of a monster who he probably deems kind of redeemable, I guess. And this also maybe goes to show that this monster might make it out of this arc. Now, this monster, of course, isn't in the original webcomic, nor is this entire little storyline that we're getting with Flashy Flash and Saitama in the minecart and all that stuff. So all of this is unknown, but maybe the monster makes it because they're like, no sleeping, you better give us good directions. And they're kind of having like this comical little relationship here. So I don't know, maybe the monster like joins the Monster Association or something, and then he's like the first monster to join and he becomes like a C-class hero or something. I think that'd be. So then we're coming back to Gyoro Gyoro, who we're getting a full name reveal in this chapter, and that is Psychos. So this didn't play out the way that it did in the webcomic. Like from the get-go, when we see like the Gyoro Gyoro monster puppet, meat puppet thing, that is called Psychos as well. So there's never like a hidden identity dynamic to this character. So it's like now we're getting a reveal that this is Psychos. So was this her name when she was quote unquote friends with Fubuki? Because according to Tatsumaki, that is the relationship between those two. Unknown. That's a pretty interesting name to have. That's not like a moniker or a title or something, but regardless, pretty cool name for a villain. I think so. So then also we're seeing the end result of like that or that, I guess, Psychos Eye, we can call it now, taking like a snapshot of Flashy Flash and Saitama like going down the minecarts in the previous chapter. So this is just her being aware that like, her calling the Baldy, he's a hero because she saw him take out Orochi and she was really unaware of what's going on with him. But then another interesting thing is that she says that they're closing in on the Inner Sanctum, which is, I assume, where she is currently. So that's giving us a layout of where these characters are. So Saitama and Flashy Flash are kind of going in the right direction, at least inadvertently, I suppose. And the Mike Wazowski monster, which I guess he's been dubbed by the community at this point, is somewhat doing a good job. So then she's like, okay, Rover's unresponsive. So, Rover has been disciplined by Bang and Bomb. So this means that he's probably not going to be recurring in this battle from this point on. Just taking a guess, considering what she's saying here. And then she says that she has to take care of Tatsumaki herself. And then we see her psychically pull that little elixir, I guess we'll call it, from the table, which we did see previously back in chapter 124 or 123 when she's first revealed for the first time. So that was like Chekhov's elixir, I guess, unknowingly, because it wasn't focused on that much. But then she just chugs this thing down, saying that she's had this plan for a long time. So I don't know exactly what this is. Maybe we'll get an explanation on what maybe it's not, but we could just assume it's some kind of like Esper buff or something, because it's not like a monster cell, because she's not undergoing like a transformation through this. It seems like she's just getting a power boost, mainly probably just Esper style. So I guess she's developed some kind of synthetic Esper boosting elixir serum or whatever. Because if she can create like all of the other stuff that she's created, I don't think it's too far-fetched to assume that she can make this as well. Now, how powerful is she now? Well, we can take a guess, even though we don't have any feats on her as of yet, but we will soon, I'm sure. She says, the one whom Gyoro Gyoro can't begin to compare with, Lord Psychos and her terrifying psychokinesis. So, if Gyoro Gyoro can't compare to this, and Gyoro Gyoro was already established as a dragon, also got the dragon level panel just like Psychos is here, and we saw Gyoro Gyoro's feats before, wasn't really able to hold Garo still too long, but was able to do it, could do the Esper Force Lightning thing, could do the 300 times gravity to Tatsumaki, was, I guess, allegedly able to control evil natural water and put it inside of that box. We could just assume that's how that went down. So if that person can't compare to Psychos, I'm just taking a guess here. It's possible that Psychos, with this boosted elixir buff, might be a high dragon Esper, which means that, pretty darn powerful. Not as powerful as Tatsumaki still. I mean, that remains to be seen, but just taking a guess. Maybe, like, close to Tatsumaki. So not like, you know, rivaling her exactly, but closer to her than pretty much anyone has been at until this point. Just taking a guess, but that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this one. Did you enjoy the funny little sequence between Saitama and Flashy Flash? Do you think Mike Wazowski is going to join the Hero Association? And how powerful do you think Psychos is? Let me know. And if you like the review, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all